Now what you've got here is the classic view of the brainstem in standard anatomical orientation that you'll see in your textbooks. But I don't find this particularly memorable. And what I prefer to do is to rotate the thing through 180 degrees like this. All right, so if we rotate it around like this and we make sure that we invert our labels as well, I find that the thing becomes more memorable and easier to recognize the structures. And the reason behind that is because I think it looks kind of like a face. All right, it looks like a face which has got some ears, some eyes and a mouth. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to develop this analogy with a face, and the face I think it looks like is that of Mickey Mouse. So let's work our way through some of the structures and correlate those with which bits of Mickey Mouse's face they correspond with. So the first structure I want to point out to you are Mickey Mouse's ears. Okay, so the ears here are a very, very important structure indeed, because these ears are the cerebral peduncles. Okay, so these ears are the cerebral peduncles. Now what the cerebral peduncles do is they connect the cerebral hemispheres to the midbrain. Specifically, they contain descending motor fibers going from the motor cortex down to the midbrain and thence onto the corticospinal tract. So the cerebral peduncles are really important motor structures carrying motor information down through the brainstem into the cord. Now we've got those ears, and now we've got some eyes. All right, so if we look here, can you see that we've got some eyes here? There's one eye, and here's another eye. Okay, now those eyes are structures known as the red nuclei. This is the red nucleus that makes the eyes of Mickey Mouse, and the red nucleus is it's not that important to structure actually. It's involved in motor control, and if it gets damaged you can develop a kind of coarse tremor, but it's just an important landmark in the midbrain. Another important thing about the red nucleus is that in fresh brain it does appear red because those neurons accumulate pigment, which does give them a slight reddish tinge, but that depends upon the way that the body's been embalmed, and you may not see the red nucleus all that clearly in your cadaver. So we've got eyes and we've got ears. Now, additionally what we've got is, if you look here, we've got these paler areas which constitute the eyebrows. Okay, so we've got kind of sad looking eyebrows pretty much here, which I've done in yellow. And these eyebrows are, these eyebrows are the substantia nigra. Okay, the substantia nigra. Now, in this particular stained section, the substantia nigra is appearing pale. However, you should know that in your fresh brain, in your embalmed brain that you've looked at, the substantia nigra does in fact appear dark. So don't worry about the specifics of the staining protocol and how that affects the appearance of the substantia nigra, but that's where it is, and in fresh brain it looks dark, but in this particular preparation it looks paler. Now, what else do we have? Well, you might notice that streaming from poor Mickey's eyes are some tears. Okay, can you see that we've got tears rolling down from his eyes there? Now these tears, these regions that look like tears coming from his eyes, are in fact part of the sensory system, because what we have in here is the medial lemniscus. Remember, that's part of the dorsal column system, as well as spinothalamic fibers. Okay, so the tears coming down from Mickey's eyes are in fact ascending sensory fibers going up through the midbrain on their way to the thalamus. Okay, and you might, if you struggle to remember that, you might remember that sensory system might have made you cry. You might have found it a little bit difficult to understand in the first place. So that's where the tears from Mickey Mouse's eyes come from. What else do we have? Well, let's look for the mouth. Here is Mickey Mouse's mouth. And the mouth is the cerebral aqueduct. The cerebral aqueduct. Okay, and you should know about that. That is, of course, the channel connecting the third with the fourth ventricles. And surrounding the cerebral aqueduct, so I'll use this pale pink again, surrounding the cerebral aqueduct all the way around it, it's as if Mickey Mouse has been eating some chocolate or strawberries in this case, and he's got all of that juice around his mouth, forming an area called the periaqueductal grey matter. The periaqueductal grey matter. It's called periaqueductal because it surrounds the cerebral aqueduct. Okay, and you know that the periaqueductal grey has important roles in pain regulation, for example, also in micturition. What else can we see? Well, we can also see that Mickey Mouse possesses a little triangular shaped nose. Okay, so there's a triangular nose here. All right, and can you also see that emanating from that nose are these little tendrils? Okay, these little tendril-like structures coming from the nose. Yeah. Now, the nose is in fact the third nerve nucleus. Okay, done that again with the wrong colour. The nose is in fact the oculomotor nucleus. So it contains the cell bodies of lower motor neurons whose axons are going to travel in the oculomotor nerves and go and move the eyeballs. In addition, the nose contains the Edinger-Westphal nucleus, and the Edinger-Westphal nucleus contains the cell bodies of parasympathetic neurons, which are also going to travel through the third nerves to control the pupil. Okay, so that triangular nose is the third nerve nucleus, very, very important. And those green tendrils I showed you emanating from that third nerve nucleus are fibres of the third nerve. Okay, and if this section had been taken in just the right orientation, we would have seen the two oculomotor nerves emerging ventrally from the midbrain. All right, but we didn't take it in just the right section, so we haven't seen those third nerves forming. They're broken off. What else can we see? Well, one final important structure that I'd like you to be able to recognise is Mickey Mouse's double chin. All right, so he's got a double chin here, which we can emphasise with a line like this. Okay, and that double chin is at this level the superior colliculus. Okay, and what the superior colliculus is involved with is in reflex actions related to the visual system. All right, so for example, you might find if there was a flash of light somewhere, you might naturally either look towards it or look away from it involuntarily without thinking. That behaviour was mediated by the superior colliculi. You also have inferior colliculi at a slightly lower level involved in reflex activity to do with auditory stimuli. So that's the midbrain. I hope that makes it memorable. There's a lot going on in here, and you'll be having to think about some lesions of the midbrain later on in the unit. Okay.